Chapter 132 Class Standoff. Teacher Zhou. Huo Yuao arrived before Zhou Yi and bowed to her respectfully. It had been more than 3 months since they had left the academy. Zhou Yi looked at Huo Yuao and the two others. The suffering that they had endured over the past 3 months had clearly made them calmer, and it even felt like they had grown taller. The determined look in their eyes astonished Zhou Yi even more. That was an expression of unwavering faith and unshakable belief. She had only seen this kind of look from inner courtyard disciples before. Her amazement was amplified because they were familiar. Huo Yuao, Wang Dong and Xia Xiao seemed to have transformed in Zhou Yi's eyes. They had shed their youth and inexperience, and they had truly become restrained and mature, even though they were only children who were not even 13 years of age. Zhou Yi could see the embryonic shadows of top-ranked soul masters in them. Glad to see everyone back. Zhou Yi realized that her voice was a little shaky when she said these words. Huo Yuao, Wang Dong, and Xia Xiao had been the most outstanding students she had ever mentored since she became a teacher in Shrek's outer courtyard. Zhou Yi placed a lot of hope and faith on the 3 of them, but greater hope meant greater disappointment. Zhou Yi was far too worried during the 3 months that they went around, but her position inside the academy was not high enough, and she couldn't possibly know too many secrets. She only heard about their bewildering performance from Fan Wu after the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament's conclusion. She was filled with pride. She was one who had taught them, and they were her students. She longed for their return, and even the thought that the academy could take them into the inner courtyard crossed her mind. The 3 of them had finally returned. When Fan Wu told Zhou Yi that Elder Sun had decided to let the 3 of them continue learning in the outer courtyard, Zhou Yi was so excited that she didn't sleep for the whole night. However, their subsequent closed-door cultivation would take nearly 2 months. The relationship between Zhou Yi and the 3 of them wasn't just a normal teacher-student relationship anymore. There was a special emotional attachment involved. She felt as if she were a mother watching her children grow up. Zhou Yi was exhilarated, but Mu Jin's expression was a little dark. The initially proud look in her eyes had clearly changed. She could tell that Huo Yuao and the 2 others' personalities and demeanors were quite different from before, and her confidence in absolute victory immediately took a hit. Dai Huobin stepped forward and whispered in her ear, "We will definitely emerge victorious, Teacher Mu. We will win even if we have to sacrifice everything." Mu Jin's eyes sparkled as she glanced at him, and Dai Huobin nodded his head forcefully. Mu Jin could see roaring flames in his eyes. How incredible was that fighting spirit? Dai Huobin had never accepted Huo Yuao and Wang Dong. Their appearance completely unleashed every ounce of his fighting spirit. Mu Jin grunted coldly and said, "Honesty is the best policy, Teacher Zhou. It seems like you are preparing a trump card especially for me. It is truly unexpected that Teacher Zhou is starting to employ battle tactics." Huo Yuao and the 2 others had been back for quite a while from her perspective, but Zhou Yi had hidden them away. What was Zhou Yi's temperament? She wouldn't explain anything to Mu Jin as she answered plainly, "Didn't you just say that we would meet in the soul dueling area? I believe my students will prove to you that soul power rank isn't everything." Humph. Mu Jin grunted indignantly before she took Dai Huobin and the 6 others, as well as the rest of Class 2 students, directly towards the soul dueling area. "You're finally back, big brother Huo." Zhou Sikin pounced on Huo Yuao and immediately gave him a bear hug. He had been the interim class monitor, and he had felt the pressure from this contest most acutely. Huo Yuao's return made him feel like the onset of spring, and both his mental and psychological pressure immediately vanished into thin air. The other Class 1 students swiftly circled around and began to ask about everything. Morale was initially low, but it immediately skyrocketed. When everybody entered the academy as freshmen, everyone witnessed Huo Yuao's toils and utmost efforts in cultivation, and his subsequent improvements, with their own eyes. Huo Yuao had never let them down ever since he became the class monitor. Huo Yuao, Wang Dong, and Xia Xiao's return instantly gave them all a mainstay. If one described a class as a constructed room, then Huo Yuao and the other 2 were its toughest pillar. The 3 of them could carry the entire class on their backs. Huo Yuao and Zhou Sikin hugged and he chortled. "The academy only gave us a single task. It was delayed because of some things. Let's go. We shall go in first, so we don't keep Class 2 students waiting." Zhou Sikin hammered his fist on Huo Yuao's shoulder and said, "Are you confident in taking them out, big brother Huo? You have no idea. Dai Huobin and the others have been stumping around as if their victory was assured when you went around. I have been patient with them for far too long. You have to lead us and teach them a lesson." Cao Jingxuan never forgot to tease his buddy. Some people are just so shameless. Someone was just anxious like a lady about to enter a marriage sedan, and now he's become an eager pervert. "Will you die if you shut up?" Zhou Sikin shot him a glare. Cao Jingxuan chuckled. "Yes." Huo Yuao guffawed and said, "Confidence isn't something that hangs from our mouths. We have to prove it with actual substance. Come, let's proceed." He waved one hand and followed closely behind Zhou Yi as he led Class 1 students into the soul dueling area, and everyone behind him walked in with grandiose majesty. Class 3 and Class 4 were enjoying the show from one side before this. The person standing at Class 3's forefront was their class monitor, Ning Tian, who possessed the 7 treasures glazed pagoda martial soul. A small girl with a dainty frame beside Ning Tian whispered, "Sister Tiana, Huo Yuao and the others actually returned on time. Who do you think will win?" Ning Tian's eyes had been following Huo Yuao this whole time till his shadow disappeared from sight. It's hard to say. Huo Yuao's true strength is a little mysterious, and his spiritual type soul skills are also very unique. However, Class 2 are still stronger in terms of battle prowess, unless Huo Yuao and Xia Xiao obtained their 3rd rings. Huo Yuao has become Class 1's absolute core, and he can even be said to be their spiritual leader. Class 1's morale is a lot different with him around, and the participants' fighting strength will thus naturally be fully unleashed. The dainty girl giggled and said, "Spiritual leader, just like you in Class 3, it's a pity that fighting is not our forte. If not, how interesting would it be to face them in battle?" Ning Tian's eyes squinted a little and she replied, "Don't worry, that day will come. Come, let's go inside." Class 3 and Class 4's teachers were not around, as both classes weren't directly involved in the contest. Ning Tian waved her hand and led both Class 3 and Class 4 inside. These 2 classes' fighting strengths couldn't be compared to Class 1 and Class 2, as the latter's main curriculum was fighting. However, especially with an extraordinarily powerful class monitor like Ning Tian, Class 3 and Class 4's cohesiveness was still quite impressive. Over 100 students from Class 4 quickly entered the soul dueling area. Everybody stepped onto the spectators' grandstand, other than the 2 participating parties. Zhou Sikin and Cao Jingxuan both wanted to participate. If not, they would have immediately opened a gambling ring or something of the sort in the spectators' grandstand, even though it was just for entertainment purposes, and wouldn't be for money. They would unquestionably stake everything on Class 1 if they were betting. This had nothing to do with relative strength. It was about team honor and glory. Arrange our battle strategy, big brother Huo. Zhou Sikin handed the mantle of class monitor back to Huo Yuao without hesitation once the 3 of them returned, as if it were a burden. The 7 participants representing Class 1 were Huo Yuao, Wang Dong, Xia Xiao, Zhou Sikin, Cao Jingxuan, Lan Susu, and her sister, Lan Luoluo. Zhou Sikin, Cao Jingxuan, Lan Susu and her sister had fire in their eyes, while Wang Dong and Xia Xiao shared the same expression. Their performance during the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament was exemplary, but that stage was still too immense for Huo Yuao and the others. That competition was far too challenging, and it wasn't a competition that they should be participating in at their level. The truth was that luck had played a substantial part in their stellar performance in them bringing back the championship in the end. If both Xiao Hingchen and his sister weren't injured before the last round, and Xiao Hingchen was actually severely wounded, they wouldn't have emerged victorious even if they had unleashed their 2 martial soul fusion skills. It was different this time. They were back, and they had returned to Shrek Academy, and they were still Year 2 students. What they had to do now was fight against others of the same age group. They had been through the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. How could they feel even an inch of pressure now? Huo Yuao had become the absolute dictator, and the 3 of them would have an absolute impact on the outcome of the battle. They were at the pinnacle of their age group, and their current circumstance weren't something that could be compared to the pressure they felt during the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. This battle was exhilarating to them, if it could be described with one word. There's no need to arrange anything. Just follow my instincts during the contest, Huo Yuao said with a smile on his face. Zhou Sikin was a little taken aback. If these words came from someone else's mouth, they would have given others a condescending or arrogant feeling. However, Huo Yuao spoke as if it was a matter of fact. Huo Yuao himself didn't feel anything special after saying those words. Lan Susu covered her mouth and giggled. Your dominance is overflowing, class monitor. Huo Yuao chuckled and replied, it's good to let it leak out a little. Zhou Yi stood by the side and watched the youthful and adolescent children. She had no intention of interrupting them, as she was acutely aware of what Huo Yuao and the 2 others had done in the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. The contest they were about to participate in was not a big deal to them at all. Mu Jin, heh. It's about time. Let's go. Wang Dong was overflowing with fighting spirit, and he bounced on the tips of his toes as he spoke. The teachers from both classes led their respective participants into the soul dueling area. The clamorous commotions on the spectators' grandstand instantly quieted down. There was no doubt that this contest represented a battle at the highest level amongst all of Year 2's classes. With the return of Huo Yuao and the others, both classes' standards didn't appear all that different. Everybody wanted to see which class had made faster progress after half a year of cultivation. Nobody noticed several people slinking into a dark corner inside the spectators' grandstand. Were they not the Martial Soul Department's dean, Yan Shaosh, and the teaching director, Du Wailun? Du Wailun knew about everything that went on within the Martial Soul Department. If Du Wailun knew about everything, but naturally meant that Yan Shaosh was aware as well. The reason why Yan Shaosh had placed so much emphasis on the outer courtyard's class 2 was undoubtedly because of Huo Yuao, Wang Dong, and Xia Xiao. Dean Yan was here to witness the results of their closed-door cultivation. Du Wailun whispered, Dean, why don't we just watch the battle from the podium? Yan Shaosh shook his head and replied, forget it. The children may be spooked if we come out officially. I don't want to affect Huo Yuao and the others' daily training in the outer courtyard. I want to take them to the Great Stardo Forest after this contest, and hopefully they will benefit from the expedition. Du Wailun heaved a sigh and said, I didn't see that coming. Yan Shaosh smiled. Yes. He had never expected Huo Yuao to grow at such dazzling speed over the course of a little more than a year. He hadn't thought much of Huo Yuao before, but now even his own master held Huo Yuao in high regard. Both parties had arrived on stage at this point. Mu Jin said, Teacher Zhou, shall the two of us be the judges for this competition? We will rescue our own students if something unfortunate happens during the contest. Zhou Yi nodded and answered, okay. Mu Jin's eyes sparkled. We are definitely going to win. Zhou Yi said plainly, I wonder if you will be personally present when we clean up the Year 2 teaching block. We shall see. Come. These two competitive teachers ordered their students to retreat and distance themselves from each other. Dai Huobin stood at the forefront of class 2-7 participants. His eyes were flaring with hysterical belligerence as he stared at Huo Yuao. Huo Yuao didn't match his gaze. He closed his eyes, as if he were contemplating something. The Soul Dueling Area's arena was a lot bigger than the one in the Continental Advanced Stormaster Academy Soul Dueling Tournament. The stage was circular, and this enabled the competition to develop more smoothly. The 7 people from class 2 had clearly been through teamwork drills that boosted their chemistry. Dai Huobin stood at the very front, while Wu Feng was on his left side and Huang Chujian stood on his right. 3 Assault-type Soul Elders stood shoulder to shoulder, and created a powerful and invisible form of pressure. Zhu Lu, Kui Yaji, and Long Zaiyu stood behind them, and they were all Agility-type Soul Masters. Shi Wanyu, who was a Defense-type Soul Master, was positioned at the back to anchor the lineup. The formation was a little peculiar. A 3-3-1 formation was a rare sight. However, one couldn't disregard their overall fighting strength. Huo Yuao and company walked back side by side as well. Wang Dong and Xia Xiao stood beside Huo Yuao, while the others calmly awaited Huo Yuao's orders. Both parties retreated to the Soul Dueling Area's borders. Mu Jin and Zhou Yi raised their right hands at the same time. Their gazes met as they exclaimed in unison. Begin. 7 people lunged forward from class 2. Dai Huobin was at the vanguard, and he released his martial soul as he pounced forward. White fur mixed with black patterns covered his entire body, and a black king character appeared on his forehead, making him unnaturally ferocious. He suddenly became a lot more intimidating and overbearing. One couldn't fail to mention that he was the White Tiger Duke's son, and he was an outstanding student in terms of both talent, fighting spirit, and determination. Huo Yuao had defeated him many times, but each defeat made him even more determined and resolute, as if defeat consistently fueled and triggered his fighting spirit. 2 yellow soul rings and 1 purple soul ring sparkled as soul power surged and rippled across his body. It felt as if his soul power could transform 3 soul rings into 4 at any time. The dragon scales on Wu Feng's body were conspicuously more numerous. 2 yellow soul rings and a purple soul ring glowed as fire seemed to pour directly from her eyes, while dense and fiery red soul power circled around her body and burned vigorously. The hate she harbored towards Huo Yuao was second only to Dai Huobin. Of course, this hatred only came from her unconvinced attitude and her unwillingness to submit, rather than Dai Huobin's intense feeling of humiliation. Huang Chuqian's soul power was black. The Herculean ape martial soul made his body extremely strong. He wasn't inferior to Dai Huobin in terms of size and volume, and 3 soul rings sparkled at the same time. Unlike the others, he shot a ferocious gaze towards Zhou Yi. Never in his life would he forget the time when Zhou Yi had chased him from the class, and it was because of this that he cultivated as much as he could inside class 2, and finally broke through rank 30. From his perspective, his opportunity for vengeance was here, and he wanted Zhou Yi to see that expelling him from her class back then had been a dreadful decision. The 7 participants from class 1 released their respective martial souls as Huo Yuao roared, go. Class 2 students felt a chill run down their spines as they watched Huo Yuao's 2 white soul rings glow. 10-year soul rings represented weakness on other people, but were Huo Yuao's white soul rings really 10-year soul rings? Class 1 was originally formed up in one row, but their formation started to change in the blink of an eye. Huo Yuao was a control-type soul master, but he led the entire pack with Wang Dong while the other 5 instantly experienced the wonders of spiritual detection sharing. Nobody needed Huo Yuao to give out instructions. Everybody's positions were already in place. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong stood in front of everyone. Zhou Sigen, Cao Jingxuan and Xia Xiao formed the second row, while Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo were at the back. It was a 2-3-2 formation. Class 2's overall strength was formidable, but they had an obvious weakness. They didn't have a control-type soul master. Huo Yuao's party had 4 control-type soul masters, and that was excluding Xia Xiao. Mu Jin and Zhou Yi didn't sit around idly. They released their respective martial souls and followed their students closely. Their students were extraordinary prodigies, and most of them were the outer courtyard's core disciples. How could they answer to their superiors if something happened to these children? Mu Jin was a 6-ring soul emperor, just like Zhou Yi. Both parties retreated at a normal pace, but their forward movement was as quick as lightning. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong pushed forth side by side, while his left hand grabbed onto Wang Dong's right hand right before their opponent's watchful eyes. Thick and violet soul energy instantly rippled from their bodies. Both sides were within 50 meters of each other at this point. Huo Yuao swung his left hand, and Wang Dong's body flew into the air with the force of his toss. The radiant butterfly goddess wings closed inwards, and he immediately hugged Huo Yuao. Brilliant radiance exploded within a sphere of 5 meters in diameter with the 2 of them as the center. Their bodies released a unique glow, and it was a peculiar luster that phased between blue, purple and gold. An enormous light appeared behind Wang Dong. It was a complete, elegant and impeccable radiant butterfly goddess. A large shadow of a vertical eye shimmered behind Huo Yuao. The vertical eye's entire body was golden, but its pupils emanated a plain purple hue. 2 gigantic lights glimmered at the same time and lunged forward. Move away. Dai Huobin howled without hesitation, and his forward movement immediately transformed into a flank. This wasn't the first time such a peculiar transformation had occurred with Huo Yuao and Wang Dong. They had relied on this transformation during the freshman's assessment back then to defeat Dai Huobin, Zhu Lu, and Kui Yaji with this single strike, and eventually became the ultimate freshman champions. It was natural that Dai Huobin reacted like he did when the 2 of them used the same technique once again. However, just as he was feeling astonished, Dai Huobin felt that Huo Yuao was insane. The competition had only just begun, and Huo Yuao and Wang Dong had already unleashed their martial soul fusion skill. Furthermore, Huo Yuao and Wang Dong's golden road fusion skill was formidable, but it was only one strike, and it only attacked in a straight line, and most of their soul power would be consumed afterwards. Who fought like that? Was he insane? Did he really think that they would maintain their original positions for him to hit us? Dai Huobin's movement was swift, but Class 2's participants weren't slow either. 7 figures darted to the side almost at the same time, and everyone gave up their central positions. Everyone was afraid to be hit by that radiant golden road. The lustrous 3-colored golden light had appeared, but it only surged out for 2 meters before it dissipated in midair. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong returned to their original form. They weren't using a martial soul fusion skill at all, and both of them didn't even connect to each other to channel the Hadong power. They blitzed past half the entire arena within that tiny period of time, and his team's current position was where Dai Huobin and the others had quickly dispersed and before they leapt towards different spots. It was a perfect imitation. Huo Yuao had become much more adept with spirit eyes functions and applications as his spiritual power increased. He completely understood his soul skills powers after they were boosted beyond their maximal year after his closed door cultivation, and his imitation's area of effect was increased from a diameter of 3 meters to 5 meters. When Huo Yuao and Wang Dong unleashed the golden road, the initial radiance could cover an area up to 10 an area up to 10 meters in diameter, but Dai Huabin and the others naturally wouldn't know the exact figure. The best way to avoid the golden road was to leap to either side. This was what Dai Huabin and the others did. Dai Huabin, Wu Feng, Zhu Lu and Xi Wanyu all leapt to the left, while Huang Qichen, Kui Yaji and Long Zaiyu leapt to the right. The seven of them were separated now, and acted freely on their own. What formation was there to speak of now? An intense blue halo was emitted from behind Class 1. Countless blue streaks turned into a huge net that stretched towards one side. The net covered Huang Qichen, Long Zaiyu, and Kui Yaji. This was the hairnet unleashed by Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo. Class 1 managed to unleash their full strength under Huo Yuao's dispatch. Cao Jingxuan's time-elapsing clock rose up silently behind him. His second soul ring flashed with a yellow light. The light distorted and landed on Huang Qichen. It was the time lock. Huang Qichen was very familiar with Lan Susu and Lan Luoluo. The hairnet was this pair of sisters' first soul skill. Although it was very restrictive, it could still be overcome with enough force. But everything around him seemed to go still just as he was about to unleash his power. He stood there in a daze without moving too. Cao Jingxuan's time lock had locked time. Cao Jingxuan was able to become a core disciple of the outer courtyard because of his magical time-elapsing clock's special time-type soul skill. It couldn't be shaken off easily. Even though Huang Qichen's cultivation was above his, he was still paralyzed for 2 seconds in front of the time lock. These 2 seconds were enough for the hairnet to be put to use. Long Zaiyu and Kui Yaji seemed to have become dazed, and the hairnet descended on them. They were both agility-type soul masters, and didn't possess Huang Qichen's strength. They were helpless after they were covered by the Lan sisters' hairnet. It was even too late for Huang Qichen after he was trapped. Countless needle-like strands of hair also quickly blocked their sensitive areas. It was the Lan sisters' second soul skill, Pierce. Huang Qichen might be very strong, but he was a strength-type soul master, and not a defense-type soul master. He didn't dare to use his body to test the close range, all-around attack of the Pierce. 3 out of the 7 were already down, including a soul elder. It couldn't be much simpler than this. Mu Jin was totally stunned. What was going on? Huo Yuao's actions didn't stop. He used imitation to scam his opponents first before using the spiritual detection sharing to help the Lan sisters' hairnet to determine their precise location and enable Cao Jingxuan to use the time lock to paralyze Huang Qichen. He unleashed his spiritual interference to affect Long Zaiyu and Kui Yaji. He did all this in one shot without stopping. As he was doing all this, he burst towards Dai Huabin and the others along with Wang Dong, Xia Xiao, and Zhou Sigen. Dai Huabin let out a tiger's roar. He twisted his head and burst towards Huo Yuao. Zhu Lu chased after Dai Huabin hurriedly, whereas Xi Wanyu and Wu Feng stayed close to the both of them. Although 3 of them had lost their ability to fight, the remaining 4 of them were the core of the team's abilities. They were not totally helpless if they banded together. After all, this was just a competition, and their lives were not at stake. Class 1 had also used 3 members to control Huang Qichen and the other 2. They believed that they still had a fighting chance. Xia Xiao's Nina Phoenix worshipping flute sounded at this point. The 4 of them reduced their speed quickly. Following that, a huge cauldron appeared and divided into 3 parts instantly. It was the 3 live soul crush cauldron. Even Wang Dong couldn't use both his martial souls at the same time in the past. Only Huo Yuao could control the appearance of both his martial souls using his spirit eyes immense spiritual power. However, Xia Xiao managed to do so now. Perhaps her limelight was always taken by Huo Yuao and Wang Dong, but she still possessed twin martial souls. The 3 cauldrons were positioned in the worst possible positions for Dai Huabin and the other 3. They were completely separated from one another because of the 3 cauldrons, and the cauldrons were also accurately placed in the paths that they had to cross to reach one another. They had to stop, as they were intercepted at high speed. In addition, Xia Xiao had grasped the precise timing to make her move because of Huo Yuao's spiritual detection sharing. Dai Huabin burst forward on his own, while his 3 teammates behind him stalled for a second and was stopped by the 3 live soul crush cauldron. It seemed as if he was purposely left on his own, and he wasn't even aware of it. Huo Yuao and Wang Dong advanced together. While Huo Yuao used the ghost shadow perplexing track to advance towards Dai Huabin, Wang Dong had already disappeared behind him. Dai Huabin might possess a strong fighting will, but he was still petrified when he had to face Huo Yuao and Wang Dong. He roared and unleashed both his first and third soul skills, the White Tiger's Shield and White Tiger's Badger transformation. A sharp aura instantly. Dai Yueheng and Dai Huabin possessed the same first 3 soul skills, but Huo Yuao didn't feel any pressure against Dai Huabin now. Dai Huabin's aura was even more acute than Dai Yueheng's, but it lacked the steadiness and reservation of Dai Yueheng's aura, which resembled a suppressed volcano. Dai Huabin's second soul ring also lit up as he roared at a distance of 3 meters from Huo Yuao. The White Tiger's fierce light wave surged towards Huo Yuao. However, he couldn't conceal any of his actions with the spiritual detection sharing around. Huo Yuao slipped 3 feet laterally and avoided the White Tiger's fierce light wave. He also inched closer to Dai Huabin. Dai Huabin sensed an abrupt, sharp aura and subconsciously lifted his right arm quickly. Ding! A golden light flashed before disappearing. Dai Huabin felt his right arm turning numb, and his body shook until he stopped moving. Wang Dong's guillotine wings. An ominous feeling suddenly rose in his heart. He couldn't see Wang Dong's actions with Huo Yuao's imitation concealing him. How could he continue to fight? He was outnumbered, and Wang Dong was even a 3-ringed soul elder. His will to win was crushed. He also discovered that Wang Dong's soul power was much greater than before. He had put himself at a disadvantage amidst his haste. His thoughts ran quickly as the battle continued. When the guillotine wings stopped Dai Huabin, Huo Yuao also slapped both his hands towards Dai Huabin. His palms flashed with a diamond glow, as if he were wearing a pair of diamond gloves. A streak of ultimate, chilly air rose up. Ice Empress Pincer. Dai Huabin used his right arm to block Wang Dong's attack. He lifted his left arm, and his claws opened wide. He didn't dodge as he stretched his left arm forward to claw at Huo Yuao's chest. His arm wasn't much longer than Huo Yuao's arm, but it was different with the tiger's claw. If Huo Yuao continued to attack him, his own chest would also be pierced by the tiger's claw. Dai Huabin's choice was right. He reckoned that Huo Yuao couldn't challenge him in terms of strength, even with Wang Dong's help. Huo Yuao had no choice but to dodge this strike. There was no other way out for him. Once Huo Yuao stepped back, Dai Huabin could also retreat rapidly and gather his teammates again before attacking once more. He had no more confidence in fighting Huo Yuao and Wang Dong by himself. However, Huo Yuao didn't hide. He clasped his palms before his left hand slapped the outer area of Dai Huabin's left wrist. His right hand also slapped the inner area of Dai Huabin's right arm. Dai Huabin was delighted. He thought to himself how Huo Yuao couldn't blame anyone but himself for seeking death. He concentrated his soul power in his left arm. With the White Tiger's Shield and White Tiger's Badger transformations enhancements, the strength of his strike couldn't be blocked easily, even by a 4-ring soul ancestor. But his delight only lasted for an instant. Catcher, catcher. The crisp sound of bones being crushed was very obvious in the soul dueling area. Dai Huabin's left arm was instantly distorted and changed shape. His tiger claw was wrenched away before it could claw at Huo Yuao's chest as his arm was snapped. Dai Huabin was stunned at this instant. He didn't believe what had just happened in front of him. Furthermore, he didn't feel an intense pain. That's because an ultimate chill was injected into his arm as soon as it snapped, freezing his broken arm and nerves. Huo Yuao trampled on Dai Huabin's body to lift himself into the air. His right shoulder knocked heavily into Dai Huabin's chest. Dai Huabin was sent flying into the air as a bang was heard. A layer of frost also covered his body instantly. All of this happened instantly. Who would have expected that Dai Huabin, the strongest among the Year 2 and even Year 3 students, didn't even manage to last 3 seconds against Wang Dong and Huo Yuao. At this point, Zhu Lu, Wu Feng and Xi Wanyu all burst out from the trap laid by the 3 live soul crush cauldron. Zhu Lu rushed towards Dai Huabin in shock. Wu Feng rushed towards Huo Yuao, inspired by her hatred. Xi Wanyu hesitated for a moment instead, but the 3 of them were stopped by the 3 live soul crush cauldron, which blocked their paths. Class 2 appeared very disorganized. They collapsed under Class 1's attack. Wu Feng's hatred towards Huo Yuao was not any less than Dai Huabin's. Her confidence was at an all-time high after she obtained her 3rd soul ring. A sharp dragon's roar sounded from her mouth, and she leapt forward. She appeared in front of Huo Yuao in the blink of an eye. Thanks so much for watching this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Also leave a comment down below with suggestions on what novels to read.